Are you happy with the reception you have received from public markets?
Oh, yes. I mean, first of all, this experience that we had this morning, as a baseball team, we don't get this, right? So having our executive management team that's part of this, some of the Liberty Media people participate. This has just been really fun. And it shows us yet another dynamic to what it is to be a public team. So we're excited about it. We're excited about what it represents for us. And, we're going to continue to operate our business in the best way that we know how.
It's certainly a new frontier, Derek, obviously very early days. I mean, literally days here at this point. But have you heard from any of your other peers at other teams looking over at you, looking at it as a trial balloon and saying, maybe we want to do the same thing?
Yeah, I suppose there's a great deal of curiosity around all of professional sports. It's a bit of a fraternity, if you will. We all know each other that sits in these positions. And so whether you're in a baseball team, an NFL team, NBA, NHL, what have you, we all kind of know each other. And there has been a little bit of trading of thoughts as to what this is. Curiosity is definitely the word of the day. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for the organization? And, the abbreviated answer that I tend to give people, because I do think it relates a little bit to where you're going, is I think that we have a lot more lawyers and a lot more accountants that are looking at us, but the way in which we operate our business is actually the same. And for us, that's at a really, really high level. And I think this gives us an opportunity to showcase that high level in front of a broader group of people, more than just our fans. They get to see it in a way that they've never been able to see it before.
But if the cost of that is more cost when it comes to hiring attorneys and having to make all of this disclosures, all of the work that comes with being a public company, what is the benefit that you think you will receive?
Well, it's a good question for Liberty, probably better asked more directly. I think what they would tell you is we were coming off of a tracking stock, and for those that know and follow tracking stocks, there's inherently discounts that are associated with those. So said a different way, you're not really unlocking the full value of what the franchise is. And this change to being a full asset-backed equity gives the opportunity to, at least in theory, unlock that value that was otherwise hidden or not stored in the price. And then, you do also get a lot more attention, because tracking stocks are only to a limited amount of people that might be interested in this. So this is anybody who's looking to trade equities and look at our stock. This is something that becomes very appealing. And I would say not only is that somebody who might be an institutional investor who knows a whole lot about the dynamics and can model all this, but it could also be millions of fans that make up Atlanta Braves who say, you know what, in addition to going to games and buying a ticket for about the price of a ticket, I can buy a share of the team and be an owner. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot happening for fans, not to mention our producer sent me this. The average MLB game is now down 31 minutes. I mean, the changes, there's the evidence, they're making a difference. What difference has it made to you in terms of attendance and viewership?
So this has been a culmination of a study that has been going on for many years. And huge credit goes to Major League Baseball's office and the commissioner on how to figure out what's the best way to study these things and implement them. These were ultimately all tested in the minor league levels, so we understood the dynamics of what was going to be happening, learned from them, adjusted, and then ultimately rolled those changes out for the major league level. And as a result of the combination of those changes, things like the pitch clock and having a countdown on that, and also having a reduction of the shift, slightly larger bases, all things that theoretically should get the game moving faster, but also have more offense gets produced. All those things are doing exactly what they were intended to do. Our fans have shown that they're very excited about that new product, and also, it's really impacting across Major League Baseball in big ways, including us, where most teams are driving more fans to their ballparks. We're up year over year. Last year, we had 3.1 million people come through our doors last year, which is an enormous amount of fans, and we're going to do even more than that this year.
Okay, so on the subject of your fans and on the experience economy, if you will, which includes things like attending baseball games, I wonder what your view is of the wider economy right now, the macro picture, especially when you're figuring out things like ticket pricing. It seems like what you're saying is that you have seen an uptick in demand, but if we are heading into a slower growth environment, how would you adapt to that? Is that what you anticipate?
Well, I think I would have probably answered that question if we were having this discussion 5 years ago, specifically pre-COVID. I would have answered that question far different. I think one of the things that we have learned coming out of COVID, and I don't think it is a temporary situation, I think people have realized the things that are valuable in their lives, they're going to insist on doing. And if you find going to a Braves game gives you joy, which I believe it does, and you want to spend your money towards that because that's something really important to you, that's not something that you're going to give up. And I realize you might have economic pressures coming at you, but what we've seen in the past year or two is as those forces hit families and others evaluating those choices, they're continuing to choose to spend their time in these community-oriented places where we take really good care of them. There's this connection to something that's really valuable to them, that being the Atlanta Braves, and they just want to stay with it. And oh, by the way, it doesn't hurt that our team's playing really well right now.
Yes, it has. We're going to ask you about that in just a moment, Derek. But listen, quickly here, because we're about out of time. Diamond Sports, the largest owner of regional sport networks, you know this, filed for bankruptcy in March. Has the viewership changed? If I can just go to Apple Friday night, watch MLB, has the model now changed for local stations in terms of how we're watching baseball?
Yeah, so a little bit back behind this, and it's a complex situation. It's a bankruptcy involved, of course. In our situation, the Atlanta Braves, there's actually 2 RSNs that are inside of the Bally's ecosystem. And those 2 RSNs cover Braves games as well as a lot of other regional sports entities in the geographic territory down in the Southeast. Things like Atlanta Hawks games and others. Those 2 regionals are doing relatively well in the grand scheme of things. And for us, what we want to try to do, as they continue to do the things that they're required to do under the contract, we're doing the exact same back to them. We're going to monitor that. We're going to make sure everybody's adhering to their contract. And at a point in time, if there's a discussion to be had about changing that, we'll address it. At this point in time, we're operating business as usual with Bally's. I know there's been disruptions in other markets, notably, at least in baseball, San Diego and now Arizona. I don't know that I see that happening as quickly in Atlanta, but it's something that we are very much keeping our eye on. And I think baseball has a game plan to make sure that this goes right.
Derek, we got to go to commercial, unfortunately. So you got to give me a 10-second answer here. You bringing it home? You winning the World Series?
Yes, we are bringing it home. We are going to do that. Knock on some wood somewhere. Do whatever you got to do to get yourself in a place. But I think the World Series is coming through Atlanta.